Every week, warriors take to the field to prove their valor and take home the glory. Unbelievable! In a way, cooking is similar. Ingredients combining in pots and pans to create something marvelous. But both are about entertainment, whether on the field or on the plate. In football, each matchup is characterized by the superstars and the cities they represent. This show is all about those culinary origins, bringing the best the city has to offer into the kitchen and dropping them into our very own weekly showdown. This is Matchup Mashups. Today's episode, Dallas Cowboys versus New York Giants. Dallas Tex-Mex meets the New York Chopped Cheese. There's not a lot that can be said about New York City that hasn't already been said by someone way more famous and way more educated. Suffice it to say, the big city's culinary history is deep. Little Italy, Chinatown, and countless iconic food items like bagels, cheesecake, pastrami, and who could ignore the New York slice? Internationally recognized as the top contender for all-time greatest pizzas. But today, I want to focus on a more recent entry into the New York Food Hall of Fame, the chopped cheese, an item that has been a staple of bodegas since the 1990s. At its core, the chopped cheese is a deconstructed cheeseburger made for convenience, on the go while weaving your way through the busy sidewalks of the five boroughs. Burger patty, American cheese, and what is arguably the most important ingredient, sazon, which comes from Puerto Rico and is made up of coriander and annatto spice. If you're talking about New York food porn, you're talking about chopped cheese. So that settles it for one half of the mashup. The next half takes us to Dallas, Texas. And if I had to guess, your knee-jerk reaction is to think of Texas barbecue. And you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. Brisket, pulled pork, mac and cheese. Texas and the South as a whole have become synonymous with these food items to the mainstream. But anyone who has lived or spent a significant amount of time there can tell you that there's an equally important style of food that is just as well known, just as beloved, but not quite as mainstream, which for me makes it that much more interesting. Tex-Mex refers to a culture more than it does to a specific single food item, taking the ingredients that were available and using them to recreate a taste of home. Crunchy tacos, fajitas, nachos, with ingredients like queso, salsa, chilies, jalapenos, corn, tortillas, and your choice of seasoned meats with an emphasis on ground beef. These ingredients and dishes are incredibly versatile, which is what allowed them to be so widely adopted. If I'm visiting Dallas, I'm going Tex-Mex. All this brings us to today, combining these two all-stars into a monster of a player, the Tex-Mex chopped cheese. If the core of both a Tex-Mex taco and a chopped cheese is ground beef, then it only makes sense to start there. Chopped cheese is all about chopping up the burger patty. Instead of taco seasoning, we're going to use the sazon. This is going to drive home the bodega experience at the core of this chopped cheese variant. Both crunchy tacos and chopped cheese have sliced tomatoes and lettuce, but that's a bit plain for what we're trying to achieve here. So instead, we're going to make some pico de gallo. Classic pico de gallo includes tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, and cilantro. Refreshingly spicy, something only Mexican food can achieve. Legally speaking, I don't think we're able to call this a chopped cheese without using some American cheddar. So at the risk of offending sensibilities of Tex-Mex enthusiasts worldwide, we're throwing down classic slices. Now the vessel for this behemoth is telera, a Mexican sandwich roll. Finally, we need a condiment. Since a bodega is all about ketchup with your sandwich and Tex-Mex is all about sour cream and guacamole, it only makes sense to whip up a Tex-Mex ketchup. Tex-Mex, ketchup, sour cream, and hot sauce for good measure. As a viewer, when teams collide, it showcases the athleticism that each city has to offer. But as is often the case with tailgating, stadium cuisine, and everything else surrounding the weekend tradition of watching football, it's an opportunity to showcase the best cooking from these regions. This matchup is a show of respect to two great cities, their histories, and cultural impacts. The Tex-Mex chopped cheese in all its glory. The gladiators on the field dust themselves off, lick their wounds, and prepare for the next game. In the kitchen, doing much of the same and looking towards the next matchup and what we can mash up in order to showcase the best each city has to offer.